This conference will now be recorded.
So we will be writing the Spark programming in Scala. There are 4 type of languages will support. One is Java, Scala, Python, and R. Most of the people use 3 languages, and R will be used in kind of data science or yeah, most most of the time like a data science kind of projects they will work with R and Python. What my observation is, if your applications like you have a UI, see there are different kind of projects will be there. Only data analysis, only data analysis or data processing and storing the data, some like creating a data lake kind of projects people will use. It means there is a UI involved. UI also there. Some applications will be having UI, means they will be having separate web applications which connect to your data lake, and where there are some microservices involved. There are some uh, microservices, data lake, and I mean when you have a full stack kind of applications, people use Java. But where there are few projects only data processing, storing the data into some lake. There are some other downstream. There's a different teams will be there. That kind of projects people use Spark. It totally depends on the comfortable of their team and their applications integration. Based on that, people choose the language and their team capabilities and team competencies is based on that. Okay. Since we have already learned Scala programming, we will be driving our Spark in Scala. Okay. If you look at the program, like other Scala programs, your Spark also, your Spark application will also start or enter from main method. Main method. Okay. Main is run entry to your Scala applications. Entry point to your Scala applications. Once it is entered into the Scala application, we are creating Spark and Spark context. Spark and Spark context. Normally, we can call this part creating a Spark context or Spark session and Spark context. Okay, creating a Spark and Spark context. This area will call driver program. Driver program. Try to remember the terminology. Driver program. So these Spark sessions, Spark context, Spark streaming context, SQL context, Hive context, there are different type of contexts are there. There are different type of contexts are there. We will talk about them and I will show you the difference in coming sessions. This is called as entry to your Spark application. Main method is the entry to your Scala application. Your Spark session or Spark context will actually gives you an entry to the Spark application, and who creates a bridge between the environment and Spark application. Okay, who actually help to read the files, apply the transformations. So these two are Spark session. some people use SE or some people will not use, but most of the people use only Spark Session. Spark Session is most important object to run your Spark application. Without having the Spark Session in Spark 2, I'm talking about. Spark 1 is the story was different. Okay, without having the Spark Session, the Spark application will not run. It is an entry and it creates a bridge between your environment and application. So a lot of stuff will be done by Spark Session. While creating a Spark Session, it's a builder pattern. We'll call it as a builder pattern. That's the reason we have a builder method. We have app name. This app name will help us to see there will be so many Spark applications can be there in the team. So many Spark applications can be there in the team. This app name help us to debug. The Spark application name will help us to debug. Let's say I have launched my job. There will be so many jobs will be running with a Spark. Based on the name, you can identify what is your application. Then you can click on your application, then you can go to logs and you can see. There is no app name. It is little difficult to search for your ID, your application ID. Then you can go, then you click on that, you will go and you'll find the logs, and that's a different story. Okay, your app name is nothing but your application name for the Spark job, or a name for your Spark job. The next one is master. Master. Actually, this master represents whether your application is running on the local, whether your application running on the local, whether your application using any cluster managers. Local means running on the same machine, like as you know, not the Hadoop cluster. Even if you go ahead and execute this program in the client machine, it will be running on the client edge node only. I mean that wherever you start running, it will be running in there only. Are you guys following?
Yeah, Ravi.
Local star means local star means if the application is running on the this application is running on any of the machine, let's say if it's running on my local machine, it will make use of all the cores. How many cores are there? Core i7 will have 8 cores, i3 will have a 5 cores, like that we will be having no cores. How many parallel process can run? This master represents make use of all those cores. And get or create, it will help us to create a Spark session. And there's some more options. Enable Hive support. Okay, that is to enabling the Hive support to where your Spark session will have the Hive support. Or you can add any other configurations also. We'll see that. Not only these 4 or 5 options, you can give any other configurations also separately, like how much my executor, we have not yet come to executor, right? What is the memory for executor, what is the memory for driver? Okay, so we can specify those things here. Next, once that driver program is created, okay, I'll do one thing. I'll show and I will explain this. I'll show the diagram and I'll explain this. This is the diagram. Let me open this diagram into Apache. Let me directly go to Apache documentation. If I didn't find there, I'll come here and copy this. Look at here. This is the diagram I'm talking about. Okay. This is your driver pro. This is everything in a single application only. But internally, it is a master slave architecture. Okay. So your driver program will call as a master. The driver program will call as a master. And wherever your tasks will be running, wherever your data resides and wherever the jobs are running, the tasks are running, we will call them as a workers, worker nodes. We will call them as a worker nodes. And one worker node can have multiple processes like executors, multiple processors and executors. Multiple executors can be there. Okay. In this diagram, it's showing only one. It doesn't mean that only one executor will be there. In one worker node is nothing but your data node. Okay. In one worker node, you can have multiple executors. Okay. So whatever we discussed so far, this part, the driver program part is this. Once the Spark context, because internally, even though it's a Spark session, internally the Spark context will be created. Once this Spark context is created, your driver program is responsible for go through all the transformations what we applied in this application. Like we have read the file, then we applied the flat map, then we applied a map, then we applied a filter, like that. Okay, map, filter, distinct. Okay, uh, then you did group by or reduce by, then you did some operation. So like that, if you do these transformations, right, what your driver program will do, try to remember guys, this flow is quite important. What your driver program will do, it will go through all these transformations. It understands it. What are the transformations has been applied in this program? It will understand those transformations. It understands those transformations. After that, it will prepare a flow. I'm telling in the general terminology. Let me write a diagram. One second, guys. Please let me know if my voice is broke or if I'm not audible properly. Please let me know, guys. Am I audible to everyone?
Yeah, Ravi.
Okay. Actually, I just moved to the new location, right? It's not at set everything. Just this weekend will do. Let's assume that I have read the data. We'll talk about RDD and all those things. First, try to understand what the how internally the Spark application work. Okay, I read the data. When I read the data, it will create a base RDD. Base RDD. We will call it as a base RDD or Hadoop RDD. Okay, so let's assume that this is RDD1. RDD is nothing but an object. For now, you can just consider as it is an object. It's a collection of data, just like your list, just like your set, right? We discussed earlier, right? List set. Assume that your RDD is nothing but collection of data. Collection of data. Okay, so I got the RDD. Then I applied one operation, flat map. When I applied one operation, then when I apply one operation, it will give one more RDD. RDDs are immutables. Whenever you apply any transformation, it will not modify the existing one. It will create new one. I applied the flat map. Then I applied the map. Then it will give one more RDD. Same as your collections, guys. Okay. Immutable collections. I'm not talking about the mutable collections. I'm talking about immutable collections. So whenever you're adding or whenever you're modifying, and what will happen? Every time it will create a new one, right? So map transformation. Then I applied one more transformation. Then I applied one more transformation, like let's assume that filter. Then it will create one more RDD. Then I applied one more transformation, distinct. It will give one more RDD. Right? RDD1, RDD2, RDD3, and so on. Then I applied one more reduce by. Reduce by key. I got a RDD6. Then I applied action, like save, collect, saving to table, saving into text file. Different kind of actions are there. Count. Okay. So I call an action. Then what will happen when I call action? Whatever these are called transformations, they're all called transformations. Transformations. These are all not only filter, distinct, and reduce by key. These are all called transformations. Transformations. The name itself is saying no, transforming one state to another state, one position to another position, transforming one behavior to another behavior. So when I read the data, it is in a different state. After reading the data, if I apply any transformation like map, flat map, filter, something, it will transfer to another state. Then these transformations, there are a lot of transformations are there. These transformations will help to transform one state to another state. one form to another form, one value to another value, which is transforming. It is something like transforming. So once it is transformed, you'll call an action. Actions are who actually give you the result, values, return values. Your transformations, this is the most important entry question, please make a note. Your transformations will return another RDD, another object. Your transformations will return another object. You look at this diagram. Okay, but action will return a value. That's the difference between transformation and actions. That's the difference between transformations and actions. Okay, transformations will transform the data from one form to another form and returns an object or RDD. Actions will return a value or a data. This is the most frequently asking interview question. What are the differences between transformation and action? And what is a driver program and flow? Whatever we are discussing today is quite important. Okay, now look at here. When this transformations happens, right, your driver program goes through all these transformations and prepare a flow. It will prepare a flow. The flow is, I can say this flow only. First this object, then this object, then this object, then this object, then this object, like that. We normally will call it as a diagram. It's actually DAG. We'll call as a DAG, direct acyclic graph. Direct acyclic graph. Okay, what it does, first one RDD came, then transformation one is applied, another RDD came, another RDD came, another RDD came. Like one by one, what it does, it will prepare a DAG, a plan. It goes through everything, then it will prepare DAG. Okay, after preparing this DAG, right? After preparing this DAG, internally, it will convert to physical plan. I hope, how many of you are from SQL background? I see most of them are used SQL at least once or twice in their career, right? If you closely observe in your SQL, what is the SQL internal flow it will happen? Can anyone explain me a little high level? How that SQL flow will happen? First, the query will be compiled. The query will be
parsing will happen.
It will parse. It will check the syntax errors.
Semantic
Sir, no.
errors.
Yeah. So compilation will happen. Then it will convert into logical plan. Then convert into physical plan after applying that optimization. Sir, no, guys. It will apply the optimization. Then after that it will go to the execution. Correct? Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. So same here also. It will take this DAG. It will check the compilations. Then it will convert into after applying the optimization, it will convert into physical plan. The physical plan will be submitted to the engine. Correct? Similarly, here also, what it does, it will take all your this plan this DAG, it will convert into physical plan. When it convert into physical, before converting into physical plan, normally before it convert into physical plan, what will happen? It applies the any optimizations are there, any optimization is there. Okay, if optimizations are there, it will apply. Then it will divide your plan, your DAG, into tasks, because which task has to run in the which executor. So that it has to divide into tasks. If you see this, successful pack, like this, the tasks will be divided. Before dividing these tasks, actually it will divide the stages. For now, just assume that stage is nothing but set of tasks. Stages also most important interview question. We'll talk about it. Stage is nothing but set of tasks. Different stages will be there. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, like that. Okay. It will create a stages, and every stage contains a set of tasks. Then it will submit to the cluster manager. Look at here. Once the driver program prepare everything, it will submit to the, it will go and talk to the cluster manager. Who is the cluster manager? In Spark, there are 3 type of cluster managers supported for now. Standalone means it doesn't require any other thing. The Spark itself, it has its own cluster manager called standalone. Spark, it has its own cluster manager. Okay, another one is Yarn, our Yarn, whatever we discussed, Yarn, right? The resource manager, application master, resource manager, node manager, application master, that stuff. And the third one is Mesos. So I didn't work with Mesos, it's Apache Mesos people call. That's also one type of cluster manager. Okay, it will go and talk to that cluster manager, asking, hey, I have this plan. This plan has to be executed. This has to be run. I need a machines, workers. I have some work who has to done the work. So like it's a constructing a house, guys. Okay, so the owner, what he will do, a builder, let's take a owner or builder. First you'll get the plan. After getting the plan, he will approach some I can say the Maestri. Normally we'll call Maestri only, one guy who can arrange the labors. He'll go and talk to the Maestri. What he will say, hey, I have this plan. Okay, this plan has to be implemented. This plan has to be constructed. Okay, as per this plan. So do you have any people? Then what that Maestri, what I can say, that who does that work, right? Construction work. That guy, what he will do? He will look for the labors. So while he's looking for the labors, he will try to look for the local people only, local to that locality, near to that locality. Let's take an example. I want to construct a house in Bangalore. If I look for a people in Andhra Pradesh, or Hyderabad, Chennai, or Mumbai, Delhi, they will not travel every day. But most of the time, what we will do, we'll try to find the people near to my locality, my construction localities. Let's say if I'm constructing in Bangalore, let's say in the Sarjapura, the people will look for around the Sarjapura who stays in Sarjapura. Maybe the people origin is different, but who stays in Sarjapura, correct? So similarly, your cluster manager will try to look for the worker nodes. Then once this worker nodes has been identified, these worker nodes internally divided into executors, like a multi-talent. Every worker, or let's say, in this also you'll be having groups. I don't know how many of you closely observe the construction people. That Maestri will can hire the different group of people. One group of people will carry the bricks, kind of just a normal labor work they do, carry the bricks, cement, or what, sand or something. They will just do the carry. They will not use that constructing part. There will be different group of people who actually start constructing the walls or base or putting this thing. There will be one group of people who actually applies the tiles, who does plumbering, electrician kind of thing. So let's assume that a different group. One group worker node is nothing but one group. Let's assume that. So for you it will be easy to assume. Another worker node is nothing but another group. So every group will have a different executors, not only one executor. That's what I was trying to show. So when it has been identified different groups, the cluster manager, hey, these are the different groups who will work for you. Then what the driver program will do, it will register with them. Like let's say I am an owner, I will register with everyone. Okay, this guy does this one. Okay, this group of people do this. Okay, this group of people do this. Okay, fine. Let them do. Then whatever the plan I have, I will submit that. The cluster manager will allocate that resources. The purpose of the cluster manager, what? Allocating the resources, identifying the labels and allocating the resources. Once it is identified the resources, these resources, based on the data locality means here the cement, the sand, that bricks, that other stuff is available. If it is available next to the land where I need to construct, or it will be there some few feet or few meters later, they have to carry. So it will just check whether it is the locality or outside the locality, data locality or non-data locality. Okay, then based on that, they will start execute, apply, or start construct the house. While they are constructing, your driver program will be monitoring. In case of any failure happen in any of the group, like any of the worker node or any of the thing, what will happen? The driver program, the owner will be keep watching. No, if any of them worker group is didn't come, or any of the worker group is not working, what we will do? We will check with the labor. I mean the Maestri. We'll ask him to replace, right? So your driver program will be keep monitoring these worker nodes, and he will, if it anything failure happen, with the help of the plan what he has, that's called DAG. With the help of the DAG, what he has, the DAG, he will reconstruct from where it has left, reconstruct with a different group or different worker. So that is how the flow will happen.
Ravi, one question here.
Hmm.
So the worker nodes will get their own task. So the DAG will be same for all the executors, or it will be different to the
It should be
executors?
same. No, it should be
It
same.
should be same. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously,
Yeah.
first I need to apply the read, then I need to apply this and all. It should be same. All a worker has to do the same. What are the part
And
of
it
the
will
data they
pick
have?
the worker nodes according to the file available to the at that node, right?
Partitions. So when I say tasks, right?
Partitions, yeah. Partitions available to it. Yeah.
Input split, you guys remember? Input split.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That input split will call as a partition here. That
Okay.
input split will call partition here. One input split,
Mm-hmm.
one map task, correct? Here also, one partition, one task. You got it? What I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Let me draw that one. And today I'll be explaining the complete work Spark flow. Try to remember, and also if it's required, do the recap also. So it's really important. This flow is important. Okay. Once you understand the flow, how it will work and all, it's quite easy. Look at here. Let me put this one into different diagram. Okay. This is my RDD. No. Let me take this. This is the data. Okay. This is the data. This data this data will be divided into will be divided into partitions actually. Okay, so let me say the partitions are nothing but, after reading this data, partition 1, partition 2, 3, let's assume that this is your partitions. All these partitions together will call RDD. This wrapper will call RDD. Now you guys tell me, RDD is nothing but collection of partitions. Each partition contains what? Each partition contains what? Data only, no? Collection of data. It is data. It is a measure log file. This file has been read. When I read it, it created RDD1. I'll write it this side. Now, what is RDD? What is RDD? RDD is collection of partitions. Each partition contains collection of data. Is this clear to everyone? This is a simple definition, guys. So full form is resilient distributed dataset. Resilient distributed dataset. Fault tolerant distributed dataset. The resilient means fault tolerant. So one RDD contains, this is the partition 1. What we discussed in MapReduce, we will call it as a input split. Correct? Here we will call partition. Same as this. If you look at above, you have input splits, right? You have input splits here, right? This input splits only we'll call partitions in Spark. Partitions in Spark. Then every partition is nothing but collection of data. Every input split is nothing but collection of data. Yes or no, guys? Every input split is nothing but a collection of data only, right? So logical representation. Here also logical representation. Now, after that, let's assume that I have applied flat map transformation. What will happen when I apply the flat map transformation? There are two types of transformations, not the flat map filter, no, not that one. Two categories of the transformations, I can say. Two categories. Narrow category, wider category. Narrow category, wider category. What is that narrow category? What is it wider category? Let me explain you. It's important to explain that also. This also people will ask in interview. There are two categories I told you, right? Narrow, widen. See, when I have one RDD, it's a collection of data, no? Sorry guys, it's device is cross. It has a partition 1, right? It has partition 2. It has partition 3. Let's assume that only 3 partitions are there. When I apply the transformation, I'll get one more RDD. That's what we discussed, since it is immutable. whatever the data is there in the partition 1, it will directly go to the partition 1 here. No shuffling will happen. Whatever the data there in this, it will directly go to this. No shuffling will happen. Whatever the data we have here, it will directly go to this. No shuffling happen. So if there is no shuffle, if you apply any transformation, that transformation is not required to do any shuffling, like a map, flat map, filter, distinct. They will not shuffle the data. They will not shuffle. Whatever the data is there in the partition 1, it will apply the transformation and put into another partition 1 in the RDD2. This is RDD1, this is RDD2. If there is no shuffle, try to remember, guys, please make a note. If there is no shuffle, what are the transformations you apply, like a map, flat map, filter, distinct, some joins, not all the joins, some joins, those will not shuffle the data, that will call narrow. Wider is similar to this. One, suppose in the partition 1 I have a so many keys. One key will go to partition 1, one key will go here, another key will go here. Similarly, it will go here, it will go here, it will go here. Like if you have a data shuffle like this, these will call wider transformation. So most of the by key operations will be wider. Joins also, some joins, what will be, the data should be shuffled. So if you apply any transformation, no shuffle happen, then it's narrow. If you do the shuffle, if you do the transformation, some shuffle happen, then we'll call wider. You guys clear about the difference between the narrow and wider? Do you guys clear about the narrow and wider? My intention is you guys should not give the wrong answer for this kind of questions, because they are very straightforward and important questions. Am I audible to everyone?
Yeah,
Hello?
Ravi.
Okay.
So these operations
So
will be common to every work node, right?
yeah, data shuffling is happening. So simple. If the data shuffle happens wider, data shuffle is not happening, it's a narrow.
So it will be
Okay,
a part of DAG only, right?
what it is part of the DAG? The
I mean
operations?
the wider or narrow, it would be depending on the DAG.
No. It's depend on the transformation. DAG is nothing but what operations you are performing. This is
I mean the
DAG.
query, the plan that will be churned out after with
No.
this.
Rishabh,
Mm-hmm.
you have a graph here, RDD1, next RDD2, next RDD3, next RDD4, next RDD5. You have this graph, this
Yeah,
this flow is there.
yeah.
This flow only we'll call DAG.
Okay, so any operation between two RDDs, just like RDD3 and RDD4, there is a join. So
That,
that will be common to, I mean, the DAG will be common to all the work nodes.
obviously,
I mean,
right?
this will be
Obviously,
happening at every work node. Yeah.
obviously. Let's look at
Yeah.
here. Okay, let me put in this. Okay. No, okay. Now you understand the what is the type of transformations, right? Let me take you through here. When I apply the flat map transformation, I will get same number of partition. I will get here, correct? Yes or no? I'll get like this only, no? What are the operation performed? After operation performed, the data will come to here. The data will go here. the task 1. So task 1 will be applied and it returns output. Task 2 will be applied, return output. Task 3 will be applied, return output. Task, it is not a job. It is a transformation, flat map transformation. This flat map will apply on the whatever the data is there here. Whatever the data is there here, it will apply that and the output will be written. Whatever the transformations I applied, the flat map, the same flat map will be applied here also, no? The same flat map will be applied here also, no? The same flat map will be applied here also, no? On this data also, right? Are you guys following what I'm trying to say? The same
Yeah, Ravi.
task will be applied on every piece of data. So flat map of, I did the split. Let's assume that flat map of, I did the split. This operation, guys. I did this operation. This operation should apply in all the data pieces or only one data piece?
All the data pieces.
Yeah, that's the reason. Whatever the data you have in this partition 1, that it will be splitted and written to you. Whatever the data you have splitted and written, whatever the data you have split and written, whatever the data is split. It happens one by one, right? Similarly, if you apply one more transformation here, if I apply one more transformation, let's assume that I applied, incremented 100 by every ID. That's the ID is there. I'm incremented. So this operation also will be applied here again. Then same will happen here also. Same will happen here also. Same will happen here also. Map transformation will be applied. These are all tasks. Task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4, and so on. So this DAG, this is called DAG, direct acyclic graph. So after this, after this, after this transformation, this. So this order is there, right? This order, that order will call DAG. Okay, this order will be prepared by your driver program. Okay, now finally you will write the output into different storage. It can be local file system, it can be HDFS, it can be table or whatever it is. Is this clear to everyone? Is this clear to everyone? Yes, no?
Yeah, Ravi, clear.
Okay, so this is how the flow happens. Okay, I will explain in detail about this flow again tomorrow. Okay, here this worker is created, this worker is created, then the tasks will be running. So these tasks, right, maybe I'm just assuming, maybe these two are in one executor and one node. One node can have a multiple executors. One node can have a multiple executors. Don't forget this terminology. One worker node can have a multiple executors. So how the executors will be created? Executors are the child JVM process. Child JVM process, small Java process. Executor is nothing but small Java process. So let's say I have one bigger machine. I have a very big machine, one big data node. It has 64 cores. It has 256 GB RAM, and it has 1 TB or 2 TB hard disk, okay, or multiple hard disks. Now what I can do, I can create a small executor, small processes with 4 cores, some GB of RAM, some 4 cores, some GB of RAM, some 4 cores, like that. How many I can create? How many? So with the 4 cores, 64 by 4. Okay, so those many small executive processes I can create with my resources. So creating child process in one worker node is nothing but executor. Hey guys, today actually I need to get into another meeting by 9. 1 second, let me check whether my meeting is started or not. 1 second. He told me that he will connect with me by 9. So many restrictions. So many things. Okay, it's not connecting. Let's see. Okay, what will happen here? One physical machine can divide into multiple small executors. So once the process is completed, the executors will be killed. Okay, so that's fine. Once the small tasks are completed, the executors will be killed, and that resources will allocate back. Okay, it will free up the resources. We'll see in detail in the coming sessions. Okay, do you guys have any questions so far? Any questions so far? Okay, tomorrow once again I'll explain complete flow. Okay, how this happen, then we will continue with this. Okay, or else you guys can go through this deployment here, deploying and overview. You can also see this. Okay, it's very simple. Spark application runs an independent set of process on cluster, coordinated by the Spark context object in your main program, your main method. Okay, in the driver program, that's called driver program. Look at here, that's called driver program. Okay, so specifically to run on a cluster, the Spark context can connect to the several type of cluster manager. It can be standalone, Mesos, or Yarn, which allocate the resources across applications. Once connected, Spark acquires executors. Executors are nothing but child processes on the nodes in the cluster, which are processes that run computation. Actually, the executor is nothing but who actually computation. Okay, to run that computation. So that will be used. Once they connected, once they allocated, then they will be running. Okay, and store the data on your application. Next, it sends the application code, jar or whatever it is. The code will be sent that to the executors. Finally, the Spark context sends the task to the executor to run. These are the several useful things to. Okay? Each application gets its own executor process. Yeah, you guys can read through. I can explain in detail later. Any questions? Any questions?
No, Ravi.
So that's it for today. Let's connect tomorrow. Tomorrow and then next session Monday.
Mm-hmm.
I will execute one program. Then I'll show you what the driver program will do, what is the steps driver program will take care, because that's important. People will ask first, what is the Spark flow, how it will work internally. Then we need to explain from the driver program. Then it will read the, it will create the DAG, it will applies the physical plan, optimization, then create the physical plan, then talk to the cluster manager, then allocate the resources. All this stuff we have to explain. So let's see, we'll see. I'll expand in the next session in detail. Then we'll jump into the core programming. Okay. Yeah. If you guys have any questions, please ask me, else we can leave for the day.
No questions, Avi.
Thank you guys. Thanks for your time. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thanks, Avi.